Good morning. It's Friday, the 13th. That was a little bit of a little reference to what most people would think is negative, but I think it's a great day. I think this is a lucky day. Go buy a lottery ticket or something. It's Friday the 13th. Go to the casino. Maybe this is your lucky day. I just feel like every day's a great day when you know the truth and when you follow the truth, which is God our Father. Anyway, if you would follow this channel, if you would like the video, and if you would share it, that would be tremendously appreciated. So as I sit here today, I'm a little bit perplexed. I'm gonna share with you something that happened, and I'm gonna tell you my thoughts on it. And if this gets taken down, it just so be it. So there's a picture going around the internet, and it's a mask, and it says, you know, if you believe in the science of masks, then you should believe in the science of life at conception, something like that. It was a reference to the fact that there are a lot of people, quite frankly, who are the pro the sky is falling side of it, and do everything you can, get the jab, put the mask on, all that kind of stuff, who are pro-abortion. Which is crazy, and they say you have to do this because of the science, but they ignore the science that life begins at conception. And when you go back to Roe v. Wade, I'm a lawyer, so I've read all this stuff. So when you go back to Roe v. Wade and you read what happened in those cases back in the early 70s, there was not the level of science that there is now. I'm not going to say somebody used junk science or any of that, although that has been said before. What I'm simply going to say is the science has caught up with reality. Nowadays, the reason so many young people are against abortion is because their parents have shown them their own sonogram when they were in their parents' womb, and they see themselves in the womb, and they say, well, this was me. How can I now snuff somebody else when they're in the same position I was in? We didn't have that kind of technology back then in the early 70s. Now we know that we know that we know. So anyway, back to the mask. So it was out there, and I shared it, and I have a relative that then came back and said something. Does it work the opposite way? Like, if you believe in the science of conception, life at conception, shouldn't you believe the science of masks? And it was a legitimately thrown out there question, which I appreciate that. The reality is that the science, just the science of the issue with covering your face, is not set in stone. Let me tell you what I'm talking about. If you Google those things don't work, and you get a set of responses, and then you go to an alternative search engine, and I'm not going to throw it out there because they might take me down just for recommending a different search engine, and you do the same thing, those things don't work, you get a different set of responses. So this relative of mine says, I love you, I'm hoping you haven't read the studies, and she posted all these studies, 4 or 5 of them, which are great studies to substantiate a position that they were trying to substantiate, that they work. I found on this other search engine at least 7 studies that say they don't work. So I only say it's unsettled. I'm not going to say one way or another. Our diocese here has instructed us to wear them, and so we wear them. I have it sitting here because when I walk out of my office and I go down the hall, I put it on my ear. When I come in contact with somebody, I put it on. I'm not ashamed to say that. Do I like it? No. Whether I believe it or not is irrelevant. immaterial, okay? What I'm getting at is when we have so much uncertainty, we have a difficulty of knowing what to believe. You know, you have a U.S. senator stand up, and he is a medical doctor who has read the science, who makes a statement about it, and they ban him. They ban him because the media does not want us to have a normal conversation where both sides are exposed. They're gonna X out the other side. I'm gonna give you another example of this. So I'll be real careful. Something happened November 3rd. Y'all all know what it is. And many of us believe that some nefarious things happened that day to cast aspersions on the results. There was a 3-day symposium recently where very high-end people illustrated some very shocking things about what happened. They made absolutely evidentiary proof that could be introduced into a court of law about the international aspect of this, that some countries out there interfered by co-opting some of the electronics that was used to tabulate. I'm being real careful with how I say this. I watched a lot of it, and I saw a lot of the evidence. If you go and you search right now about that event, you're going to get various news outlets reporting how it was a failure, failed to produce the evidence, didn't do what it was expected, and what they don't share with you is fact. It's an opinion. It's a hit job. And while it was going on, this gentleman was showing you on the phone what they were saying while it was going on, and what they were saying was not the same as what was going on, and it was supposedly live. He was evidencing the fact that we don't get good information from the normal sources, which means you have to go to other sources to get information, which is what I want to highly suggest to you today. There are some people that have shows, podcast shows, and some of them are streamed live, that are a great alternative to TV. If I can make any recommendation to you, it's just don't watch the news on TV. Just don't get your news from there. It's not reliable. It's not reliable at all, and you're getting one side. If you want to get information, go to the source of the information. I was telling somebody just today, they were talking about the number of hospital beds, and the hospitals are over full. So I went and got the Louisiana Hospital's statistics and showed them that they're not full. And when you show the evidence, then what they say is, oh, we're not talking about the hospitals being full. We're talking about we don't have enough staff for the hospitals, which may be true, and I'm not contesting that. But if that's the case, why say the hospitals are full, all the beds are full, if they're not? You see, but you get that on the morning news. And so I'm just frustrated with the fact that every night I sit down at my computer and spend an hour or two getting facts from alternative sources other than the mainstream, because the mainstream won't give you the facts. You have to go to a website for Louisiana hospitals, for example, or you have to go to a website like CDC and get the statistics, because when you get the actual numbers, they're not lying, okay? But when you get the report about something that is going on, let's say with the CDC, then you're getting their opinion on what it says, and that's not news, you know? And so we have to be real careful where we go for our information these days. And what I would say is the same thing that I said earlier, and that is stop pointing the finger at each other, you know? Some people, you know, buy into the doomsday And that's their prerogative, that's their right. And they want to be protected. They should be. And other people are just not as concerned about it. You know, if you're doing what you're supposed to do and you're staying healthy and you're taking the kind of nutrients that you need to take your cells and fend off the free radicals, then the likelihood of your cells being infiltrated with something is not very high. And then if it is, then you just take the medications to ward off whatever it is affecting your cells, and you can get well. 99 point something % of the people get well. You know, does that minimize the people that don't? No. But we can't live our whole life in fear. You know, if we did, we wouldn't cross the street. We wouldn't drive a car. You know, we just can't live our lives like that. My opinion, you can do whatever you want. If you want to live in fear, that's your prerogative. But my premise is always faith and fear cannot exist in your body at the same time. You're either faith-filled or you're fear-filled. Pick one. You can't have both. So that's where I come from. I know I got off the deep end today. I usually try to hold these to 10 or 11 minutes. I'm gonna sign off now with just a little positive note. I interviewed for my TV show a priest, a friend of mine, Father Eddie Martin, who used to be a deacon, a married deacon. His wife contracted cancer, and Jenny passed, and he was brought to the priesthood after she died. He wrote a book about it. I don't have it with me, it's at home. It's called The Last Dance. I'm in the middle of reading it. It's fabulous. I highly recommend that you get the book, The Last Dance by Father Ed Martin. It's a marvelous story. It's a love story, and I think you will absolutely enjoy it. So with that, I'm gonna ask you to press the like button, that little thumbs up. I'm gonna ask that you subscribe and share the video. And if you have any comments, even if you hate me, send me a message. Tell me you hate me. I'm a big boy. I can take it. God bless everybody.